on to Forex now. Now, Forex has been a big issue, but not just now. For the last 10 years, there have been a range of economic gurus, I will call them, asking you to float the dollar. So, and you have been adamant you are not floating the dollar. And I want to understand, given all of the noise about Forex and everybody clamoring about how much Forex they want to be able to have access to, why are you so adamant that you are not floating the dollar?
Well, I'd put it another way. Why are they so adamant on floating the dollar? What does floating the dollar do? If you allow it to float, which is essentially just a nice word, a nice flowery word for devalue the dollar. I don't know why they say float. What do you think it's going to go up? I mean, as I said, it's a very misleading term. What you're essentially allowing is the dollar to go into free fall. That's what I mean. Not to float, to fall. So I don't understand what their problem is. Because if you allow the dollar to go into free fall, then what is going to happen? You will not get any additional US dollars. You're getting the same amount of US dollars. So what beats me is all of these, let's call them economists. I had another word for them. All of these economists say, let it float, let it fall, and you will solve your forex problem. How? Because the quantity of US dollars coming into the system is fixed. So when you allow the dollar to fall, or float as they put it, our dollar becomes weaker. So it might go to 7 to 1, 8 to 1, 9 to 1, 10 to 1, whatever. You could look at Jamaica, for example. I remember, uh, I'm wondering how far to go back, but if I go back 20 years, the Jamaica dollar was like 50 to 1. It's now 150 to 1. And even as you go further back in Jamaica, the Jamaica dollar used to be on par with the US dollar. So it's gone from 1 to 1 to 150 to 1. The Guyanese dollar is 230 to 1 or something like that. So when these things happen, if you look at Jamaica, for example, Jamaica is a good example. The per capita GDP, which is the average income of a Jamaican person, is one third Trinidad. One third. So if we allow the dollar to just float or fall, what's going to happen? You get no additional US dollars, so it solves no forex crisis, but goods become much, much more expensive. So we have a huge food import bill, for example. We currently spend about $7 billion importing food. So if you allow the dollar to go to 10 to 1, we now spend $10 billion
7
importing food.
billion US dollars in food?
TT dollars.
7 billion
7 billion TT
TT
dollars every
dollars.
year
Okay, right. So 7 billion
importing
TT
food.
dollars in
So
food.
if
That's
you allow,
annually.
yeah,
Right.
you allow the dollar to slide, the price of food is going to go up by 30 to 40% right away. Might even go up by 50% because most of our food is imported, and we don't grow wheat here. We don't make cheese here. You know, we don't make flour here. I mean, we have to import all of these things. We don't have any great production of beef or anything like that. So most of the food that we consume has to be imported. So the first thing that would happen if I listen to these characters, and I say, no problem, let's float it. The first thing that will happen, the price of food might go up by 50%. Then what do you get? The trade unions will come quite justifiably and say the cost of living just went up by 25, 30%. So we want a 25, 30% increase in wages. Who's going to pay for that? Where's that money going to come from? So that there is no way I am going to allow myself to be bullied by these people to do something stupid, which is to let our dollar depreciate and make life so much harder for everybody in Trinidad and Tobago. And the only people that could possibly benefit from a devaluation or a flotation, as they call it, is people who have large amounts of US dollars hoarding somewhere overseas. So I just won't do it because the people who will suffer from that will be the poor and the middle class. The wealthy people can always find a way to survive, but people in the middle and people at the lower end are going to suffer. So I just won't do it. It doesn't matter how many editorials they write, how many go to commentators they talk to, how many times I look on the front page and I see float the dollar. They could keep doing that for the next 100 years. I will not do it because it is going to cause pain and suffering to poor and middle class people in this country.
All right, so we know who's going to suffer from a dollar floating. Who's going to benefit?
People who have large amounts of US dollars. Because I'll give you an example. Let's say you have 10 million US dollars somewhere in a bank account. Currently, you could get, say, let's round it off. You'll get 70 million TT for that. If I allow the dollar to go to 10 to 1, that person just made 30 million Trinidad dollars because they now have $100 million worth. And things will not keep pace. Wages will not keep pace with the devaluation. It'll take a while before things catch up with the devaluation. So the person who just made $30 million able to use that to acquire goods and services and really have a very good time.